What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show. That your day is going absolutely fantastic. At the time of me filming this video, we currently have just under a minute and a half left of this Week 2 matchup between the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies. The Wolverines currently lead by a score of 31-10, so this game is all said and done, and the Wolverines are going to improve to 2-0 in the early part of this college football season. Today, we're just going to be breaking down the box score, going through everything that really I saw today in this phenomenal performance by the Wolverines. So make sure you guys stick around. Just before we do get into the actual stats and everything like that, I just want to give my overall insights and thoughts on what I saw from the Wolverines today. It was an all-around performance, and this is against a Washington team that, is very talented. They started the year ranked number 20 in the AP polls. Now, obviously, not playing up to those standards, but still, again, as I said, a very talented team and a very good win for the Wolverines. Offensively, we didn't need a lot of Cade McNamara. It was really a story of just not turning the ball over, giving the ball to the backfield, and man, did Hassan, Haskins, and Corum play absolutely phenomenal today. 3 touchdowns from Corum, 1 from Haskins, a career high in terms of rushing yards for Haskins, and over 150 yards apiece for each one of these two guys. So the backfield was phenomenal and has been in each of the first 2 weeks this season so far. And in terms of defense, I thought a really good showing as well. Obviously, only allowing 10 points at the time of me filming this video, but a really solid performance from guys like Aidan Hutchinson, Ross, Dax Hill, filling in for some of those players who left last year. But you know what? The Wolverines defense was, in fact, one of my concerns coming into the year. Obviously, flipping defensive coordinators and going with the guy, Mike McDonald, who is obviously a very smart guy in terms of his football IQ, but had only been a linebacker coach for the majority of his coaching career and never been a defensive coordinator. So I was a little bit worried, but to be honest, I'm really, really impressed. We've seen a bunch of different looks, which is something that I've been asking for the Wolverines defense for quite a few years now. Been showing a few different zone looks, been showing some interesting man looks with stacking the box. And just overall, this Wolverines defense is looking really, really impressive. We'll get to the box score in just a second. First of all, I just want to go quickly over a recap of how the scoring came to be. Jake Moody opened up the scoring with a 52-yard field goal in the first quarter. That was actually his career long. Turning point of the game, I think, is the fake punt that the Wolverines had on 4th and 1. Ended up converting that, and then the very next play, Corum had a 67-yard touchdown run. Washington scored a field goal in the third quarter. That was their first points in 20 drives. Beginning of the fourth quarter, Haskins had a touchdown run, extending the lead to 24-3. Washington would add a touchdown in the fourth quarter as well, only their second of the year. Wasn't quite enough, and then Corum at the very end of the game added on another rushing touchdown. Let's flip over to the box score now. We'll get it kicked off with the Michigan Wolverines, starting with Cade McNamara. As I said before, not really much asked of Cade McNamara today. Only 15 pass attempts, 7 completions, only 44 yards. But I think the big thing here is he was patient, didn't turn the ball over, and that's exactly what the Michigan coaching staff wants. Keep the ball in the hands of the offense, just don't give any silly points away. And the Wolverines played a really clean game in terms of that on the offensive side of the football. In the rushing game, that was the story of the Wolverines today. Corum had 21 carries, 171 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Hassan Haskins, 27 carries, 155 yards. He added on a touchdown as well. All 4 of the Michigan Wolverine touchdowns did come on the ground, and another average of 6.4 yards per carry for the Wolverines this week. They had just over 7, I think, last week, or 7.8 last week. So over the course of these first 2 weeks, some really, really good stat lines in terms of running the football. And what I really like about sort of what I've seen in terms of the running game so far is it's really some Michigan vintage running game in terms of using tight ends, exactly what you expect from Jim Harbaugh, just absolutely pounding the football, and I think that's going to be really hard to stop for teams trying to game plan against this Wolverines offense in weeks to come. In terms of receiving, obviously, we had no Ronnie Bell, which was a little bit of an issue. I think that's why, or one of the reasons we didn't throw the ball quite as much. Cornelius Johnson led the way with 33 receiving yards. Corum actually had the most receptions for the Wolverines with 3. Haskins also also added on a catch as well. And just as we get to that, the Wolverines actually finish off the game 31-10. That score is now official. And then just flipping over to the defense, of course, the Wolverines defense was very, very good. I said that they played a bunch of different looks. Hutchinson, Ross, Dax Hill all played really well, but that just goes on and on. The Michigan defensive line, especially early on in the game in the first half, was absolutely suffocating. Made it really tough for Dylan Morris to do anything, and that was already a struggling Washington Huskies offense. So just really, really good from the Wolverines. No turnovers forced, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm really, really liking this new page sort of that we are turning. Let's flip over to the Washington Huskies. Dylan Morris, obviously the quarterback for the Huskies, passed 20 of 37, 293 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Obviously last week against Montana, really struggled through 3 picks last week. Looked a little bit better today towards the end of the game, but really struggled in the first half as well. A couple really inaccurate balls with some open receivers that Dylan Morris would definitely want back. A little bit confusing. He wasn't awful last year, but definitely off to a very slow start this year. In terms of the running game, Richard Newton led the way, 12 carries, 24 yards. Cameron Davis, 9 carries, 22 yards, but they only had 1.6 yards per carry. Again, they struggled running the football in week 1, struggled running the football again in week 2 against the Michigan Wolverines. Taj Davis led the way, 6 receptions, 78 yards. Bynum had 5 receptions, 115 yards. Giles Jackson, the former Michigan man, 3 receptions, 49 yards. A couple other receivers tacked on some catches as well. But again, it's not that the Huskies don't have talent in terms of their receiving room, but this is a struggling Washington Huskies team right now in offense in trying to gain momentum, put together strong drives consistently. They weren't able to do it tonight. They haven't been able to do it in the first 2 weeks, and that's something that they're definitely going to have to focus on. The Huskies defense is surprising me a little bit. I talked about this in my preview video. This is a Huskies team that had all 4 of the players who got drafted in the NFL draft came from their defense. You also had your old defensive coordinator take a job at Texas, so you're working with a new defensive coordinator, and there were some issues or questions surrounding that defense, but they do look very solid for the most part throughout these first 2 weeks. They look good in week 1. They look pretty solid in this Michigan game until the fourth quarter. But yeah, the Huskies definitely have some things to figure out. I want to flip over to team stats, take a look at that real quick. Third down, 7-17 from Washington, 7-16 from the Wolverines, so pretty even there. 1 of 4 from Washington on fourth down, 2 of 3 for Michigan on fourth down. Overall, penalties were pretty even, 6 apiece. It just comes down to, the Huskies turned the ball over once. They couldn't stop the Michigan run. But yeah, they did a better job passing the ball. Again, the Wolverines didn't really throw. But the Wolverines really did dominate this game. Looking ahead to next week, Michigan will take on Northern Illinois. Lost a game earlier on today against Wyoming by a score of 50-47. They come into that game with a 1-1 record. Should be an opportunity for the Wolverines to improve to 3-0 and hopefully keep that perfect out-of-conference schedule before going into a Big Ten schedule. As for Washington, a good chance to bounce back. Get your first win of the season against Arkansas State. They come into this game with a record of 1-1 with a loss earlier today against the Memphis Tigers by a score of 55-50. So again, should be an opportunity to sort of get that offense underneath you, bounce back. Hopefully the Huskies can pick up their first win. But anyways, guys, if you did enjoy today's video, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, comments, and just overall thoughts on this Huskies versus Wolverines matchup in college football week 2. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, as always, please make sure to let me know. Smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content just like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys again next time.